Hello, how are you doing today? I'm so excited to be here with you. Thanks for joining me. I've got a big question for you today. Do you question God? Is your God big enough to handle it? Or do you believe in a God that when you're upset and you actually tell him that he can't handle it? Let's talk about that today. Hi, my name's Steve Kidd. I am a third generation minister, an international best-selling author of, well, actually, tomorrow you can get my 21st book. We'll talk about that tomorrow, but 20 books, 21 now. And we're really, really excited about the things that are going on here. I do have the privilege of working with authors and other professionals, helping them more than anything up level. We work with their books, their writing, and their publishing and their marketing of it, but it's really more about maximizing while it's called today and being the best version of yourself while it's called today. I love helping you up level. Unfortunately, I'm a visionary, and so I've had a lot of people that they're like, "Why can't you just be happy for what I'm doing?" I'm like, "I'm excited for what you're doing, but I also see more," and I shared it with them, and I'd love to do that with you. So let's get into it. Let's talk about questioning God, because you're not supposed to do that, right? You can't possibly question God because that wouldn't be being in submission and servitude to Him, would it? I mean, after all, God is so small that when we get angry and yell at Him, He has to go and cry or something. I mean, really, what do we think? I'm sorry, I'm going to probably be very snarky and sarcastic. It's kind of where I am today, but you love me anyway, right? Um, think about it. Here's God, all right? I want to give you a new definition for God if you don't have one. And we're not going to go into specifically anybody's specific religion. I just want you to, if you can, and if you can't, that's okay, no judgment. But imagine the concept of the world existed before you got here, and it's likely going to exist beyond you, unless we blow ourselves up, which we're on the verge of doing every day. But because of the fact that you didn't invent the world, there was very potentially something. You may call it aliens, God, Jehovah, whatever the different names are isn't important. It's about a being so powerful, so amazing, so incredible that the whole of everything we know as existence was created from one thought that he had one day. That was God. That is God, a being that exists in the past, the present, and the future simultaneously, sees everything that's going on. Okay, so if you can embrace that definition, and if you can't, that's okay. Again, no judgment. We're not here to judge you, but if you can embrace that definition for what, if there is a God, you would have to have him be, okay, then I really challenge you. Do you question him? Now, some of you are going to say, well, no, of course not. I mean, if this being is so powerful that, he created all of existence with just one thought he had one day, he could squish me like a bug. Okay, valid point. But the thing about it is, if he knows all, sees all, is everywhere across all time simultaneously, then doesn't he already know that when you're quote unquote not praying, screaming and howling and yelling and telling everybody how much you hate God and how much he sucks and that kind of stuff? I mean, is God like on vacation until you reach out to him and then he's like tuned into the universe? I mean, come on. If your God isn't big enough that you can be, and yes, I'm going to use this word, pissed off at what's going on, and just flat out tell him how you're feeling, your God isn't big enough. And I challenge you today. If you don't, it's fine. Again, no judgment, but I challenge you today to allow God to be bigger than the box that we've placed him in, than we must prostrate ourselves before God kind of a thing. Now, that's not me encouraging you to be in a place of rebellion or denial of God or any of those kind of things. It's actually me calling you to real, true, vulnerable, genuine honesty, because God loves you. He loves you so much. He loves you so much that, in spite of the fact that you had potentially I was lucky I have great parents, but a lot of you didn't. You had totally shitty human beings who were the people you were born to. Here's the thing, the only way you could come into existence is because their DNA matched together at the exact moment that it happened. And I'm so sorry. I wish there was some other way that that could happen. But in the rules of the universe that we live in, that is how people are created. Sorry if I just explained to you where babies come from. Didn't mean to shock you, but that's why that had to happen. And because you're here today listening, in spite of the fact that even as you heard that, it may piss you off and you may be like, I hate God for doing that to me. It's okay. That's totally fine. I don't have a problem. I'm not even going to talk you out of you being angry at him. But you need to understand he had to do what he had to do because he wanted you in the world. And then he gave you this stupid thing, okay? And let's just be real about it. Free will is the most ridiculously stupid thing in the world because most people tend to do evil, horrible, awful shit with their free will. There are some that are choosing to do good things with their free will, but there are so many more who choose to be evil because they can choose it. Let's just be real. How many people have been murdered? How many people have been raped and abused and hurt in so many horrible and evil ways? Because stupid free will. They had the right to choose. And just like we have the right to choose whatever it is we choose, and I hope you choose good stuff, I really do. But just like we have the right, God had to give them the right to do that too. Because if everybody doesn't have free will, then nobody does. So why did God give us free will? Is he really stupid? See, we're going to challenge some really big holy cows today, aren't we? God loved us so much, but he only wanted to be in a relationship with us that was real. And the only way you can be in a relationship is when both people choose each other. And in order for you to be able to choose God, because he already chose you from the beginning of all creation, you were on purpose. He created every single person in the world so that the two people that came together to make you were born, lived, came together exactly the moment that it took for you to exist. Yeah, you are that special. So he already chose you. But the thing about it is he also give you the right to not choose him. He loves you enough to say, hey, if you never choose me, I'm not going to love you any less. And I love you enough that even though I'm God and I could have created a universe where I could have just controlled you, I love you too much to do that. I love you to the point where I gave you complete free will up to and including literally killing me in the most gruesome, horrible ways. I came to earth and you crucified me on a cross rather than accepting me. And what did I say? Father, forgive them. They don't understand what they're doing. And every single sin that any of us have ever committed or will commit in the future was laid on Jesus, and he died and went to hell. So you don't have to. Yeah, I just preached to you and I went all Bible-y on you and I told you I wasn't going to. Sorry. Third generation minister just kind of pops out sometimes. The point is, God loved you and he gave you absolutely, completely free choice. And so, because we're talking about being angry with God, about arguing, yelling, screaming, slamming shit around with God, he wants you to do that too. I was reading to a friend of mine just this morning. I think it was this morning. It's been a long day. In Habakkuk chapter 1, he starts off. I mean, here's this whole entire book. First of all, Habakkuk is a really, really, really minor book in the Bible. It's 3 whole chapters. And we don't know anything about him. He's never introduced anywhere else. But then, boom, he starts off with, how long are you going to keep doing this crap, God? I mean, loosely translated, but that's the modern Steve version of that Bible verse, okay? Um, and, and then he just went off. And then God listened. He didn't chastise him. He didn't say, who are you? I'm freaking God, and you're going to question me? That's what we would do as people. If we were God, that's what we'd do, right? That's why when you start looking at, like, Zeus and all the gods that men have made up, that's why they tended to like to crush people under their feet and throw lightning bolts at them and stuff, because that's what we would do if we were God. We wouldn't love people. We wouldn't let them be angry with us. Oh, no, no, no. Not if we were God. Think about the things you'd do to the people in your life if you were God. Think about how much they should be afraid if even for a minute you had God's power. Maybe it's good that we don't, right? So think about it for a minute. God, with all of the capability to do that, he doesn't say to Habakkuk, he doesn't say, "Who the heck are you? Quit yelling at me, I'm going to squish you like a grape." He says, "Just watch and see. I have a plan. And some really horrible, awful stuff is going to happen because my people, who I gave free will, made some wicked, evil, horrible, horrendous choices. And when we do bad things, don't be surprised when bad things happen to us." You see, it wasn't that God was like, "You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be a big, mean, grumping bully and now send the Babylonians to go pick on my children." No, they said, "God, we don't want you to protect us. We don't believe in you. In fact, what we're going to do is we're going to build golden calves because, um, the Apostle Paul jokes about the fact that people cut down a tree and they take half of it and they throw it in the fireplace, and the other half they make into an idol and they bow down and worship it. That's what we create as gods in our lives. And God said, "You can do that. I love you. You have free will. Go ahead and choose that." But when calamity comes and you're praying, "Oh, hunk of wood, oh, television set." Oops, sorry, I went in another holy cow there, didn't I? Um, and that thing doesn't have anything to do that they can stop you. The consequences of your actions happen. Now, that's not me saying that all the things that have happened in your life are consequences of your action. Most of the shitty things that have happened to you are because other people really, really have abused their free will. And so sometimes what you need to do is get totally pissed off at God. Scream, holler, yell, throw shit around. Maybe not break things, because then later you'll be like, "Oh man, I wish I hadn't broken that." But if you got to do that, do that. Please don't crash your car, because I think you'll really regret that one. But whatever you've got to do, just be real, be honest. Let your God be a grown up. Oh my gosh, here I go. Be big enough for you to throw yourself down on the floor and throw a tantrum. Okay, I got to tell you a funny story. All right, my oldest daughter, Emily, she was mine by adoption. She was about, what, I guess 2.5, or no, I guess she had already turned 3 when I got married. Um, and when I first met her, she didn't know how to throw a tantrum. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my whole life. She could throw herself to the ground, but then she just kind of flopped around like a fish. She didn't move her arms or her legs. I still to this day can't figure it out. I literally felt so bad for her that I laid down on the ground with her and taught her how to kick and pound her fists and stuff like that, because I was afraid she was going to hurt herself. And I figured if she's going to throw a tantrum, she at least should know how to do it in a way that won't hurt herself. I don't know. That may or may not be good parenting, but I did it. There you go. Now you know a story about me. And now if you ever heard people complain about my parenting, you can say, "Well, I mean, after all, he laid down on the kids and on the floor and threw tantrums with his children." The point being is that in that moment, I thought it was cute and funny, and all I wanted to do was just keep her safe. I remember being in the grocery store one of the times, because I was a single parent of 5 for almost 5 years. I remember one time I was in the grocery store, and one of the kids was just throwing a tantrum like kids do. They're children. Me, being the parent that I am, I was like, "Oh my gosh, look at this child over here throwing a tantrum. You guys got to come see it. Obviously, they need an audience. Please come watch this child throw a fit here in the store." So again, like I said, if my children ever tell you I was a horrible parent, maybe you'll just agree with them. The point being is that when the grown-ups are in the room and a child has a feeling that they don't know how to express, or they only know how to express it in a certain way, we don't start hating them, because they hit us with something in the head and it hurts really bad. We don't like abandon them and say, you're no longer my child because, you hit me in the head with a whatever. How many moms have been hit in the head by their child with something, or dads? We've all experienced it more than once, right? Now, we may have punished them. We may have put them in timeout or spanked them or, whatever your parenting style is. But at the end of it, what did we do? We scooped them up and we took them in our arms. We told them that we loved them, and that's not how we treat mommy. That's not how we treat daddy. I was actually really blessed. One of my friends had that happen to her, and she asked if I could talk to her son, and I told him, look, as a man, we don't treat women that way. Women are precious gems. We need to learn even now, and I know you're little, and I know you don't understand most of this, but you need to love and honor mommy always, and never ever hit a girl. As men, we don't hit girls. Now, I know that's old fashioned and antiquated, but I'm sticking with it. I like being that person. And I was so blessed to be in that moment for that young man as he grew and moved from a frustration that he didn't know how to express, probably, because he wanted the channel changed, or, mom had fallen asleep without his permission, or, one of those really important child things. And he just simply needed to know a little bit better way. And I know his mom well enough to know that at the end of all of it, she just scooped him up and hugged him, kissed him, and let him know she loved him. That's what God does to us too. We can wail and scream and yell and curse and swear, tell God we don't believe in him, run away the other way, be like the prodigal son and run away from home and go live our lives partying crazy and killing ourselves off until we've lost every bit of ourselves and we're face down in the muck eating the same food that the pigs that you're feeding eat. But God, this is what I love in that story. The prodigal son did everything wrong, but the father was sitting on the porch every day. All he spent his life doing was watching. And when he saw his son a long ways off, he left the porch and he ran to him. And he called him his son. And he said, I love you. My son's come home. That's how God treats us. That's what God thinks about us when we're the most angry. So he's just waiting for us to choose. And he gives us the full right to never choose it. And that's okay too. So my question for you is your God big enough? Can your God handle it if you get really pissed off at him today? Here's what my encouragement to you is. Whatever you're feeling, and I hope you're feeling joy. Even if 5 minutes ago you were feeling anger, I hope now you're feeling a little bit of joy. At the very least, that you're laughing at what a horrible parent I was. that But if you're feeling upset, just tell the truth. Instead of trying to pray, Our Father who art in heaven, because our Father's name is Art. Instead of having some kind of prayer like that, how about just saying, hey, God, you know what? I don't even feel like praying tonight because I'm pissed off. I don't know why this shit's going on, but I can't handle it anymore. And I'm angry with you because of it. If you feel that, just tell him that. And if it goes on for days, weeks, months, you know what? You're actually building a better relationship with God because you value him enough to be honest with him, then this crap that we play by, hating God all day long. And then we go to our prayers and we're like, oh, dear Lord, thank you for the day and the moon and the stars. And, and we pray this prayer that we don't mean because we've prayed it so many times that it's like, now I lay me down to sleep. Just be real. Let your God be big enough. Let him really, truly be able to shoulder all of the things and return back to you love because you're worth it. And that's the important part. You have no idea how much God loves you, how much He's done for you and will continue to do for you. And no matter how upset you get, no matter how much you scream and holler and yell, or all the good things too, no matter what, God loves you. He's there for you. And He wants only the best for you. Because guess what? You're uniquely brilliant. You were created for a purpose, and the world needs you. So I encourage you, maximize just while it's called today. You can't change yesterday. Wish we could, but we can't. It's over. We can apologize for things that we did wrong, but we can't change the past. And tomorrow may never get here. I mean, if you turn on the news for more than 5 minutes, you can be worried that the world won't last another minute, let alone till tomorrow. When tomorrow gets here, it'll take care of itself. But today, you need to maximize while it's called today. And how can you do that? Just find one person that you can do one nice thing for. It can be as simple as a smile. Or, if you feel it, a silent prayer for somebody. Or call a friend and say, hey, I was just thinking about you. And I know you're going through some stuff right now. But I want you to know I love you. And I'm here for you. And I can't change any of what you're going through. But my love's here for you. And I know that's not enough. But all that I have, I give to you. What a huge thing that could make in somebody's life. And maybe they'll be like, fuck you, I don't want you around right now. That's right, I said that word. Just in case you're listening, Mom, I love you. But yes, I did say that word. And then you can just give them back love. And you can pray for them. And you can lead them to a point where their God can be just a little bit bigger and is grown up enough to be able to handle it, no matter how upset they are too. Can we all do that for each other? And make today the best day that today, with all the craziness that today is, be the best day that it can be? I hope until we're together again next time that you're happy, safe, you feel warm and loved, that you know how wonderfully special you are, and that in all things you will live thriving and truly free. Until we're together again next time, have an amazingly great week.